Hey Sugar Snaps, welcome to the Textile Indie YouTube channel. If you're an old friend, welcome in. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Here I share tutorials and inspiration in fiber and textile crafts. And today I'm wrapping up the year with some reflection, some project updates, and new year plans, as well as talking about my January challenge that will be coming up here in just a few weeks. It's a works in progress and building a creativity practice challenge. So kind of two things combined, and I'll be doing a few videos a week to kind of correspond with an ebook that we've created here at Textile Indie to walk you through how to build a consistent and sustainable creativity practice so that you can spend 15 minutes a day or so working on your creative endeavors. If you're interested in joining us for the January challenge, you can sign up using the link in the description below or the QR code, and you will receive a daily email that goes through the ebook as well as updates on the videos that will go along with the challenge. We'd love to have you join us in the January challenge to jumpstart your works in progress and get the new year going in a creative direction. Before the end of the year, I thought it would be fitting to do an update on my temperature blanket. I'm not going to show the full thing because I want to do a full reveal once it's completed. But this is something that I am going to be working on during the January Works in Progress Challenge. One of the reasons that this needs to be worked on so much is that this summer, because we were gone a lot and I was just doing a lot more outdoor activities, working in the garden, and I got kind of distracted with other knitting projects that I wanted to do, I got fairly behind. So if I look at my schedule here, I am still in October. So I have a few months to catch up, which means quite a lot because when I started this guy, for whatever reason, decided it'd be a good idea to do a very large blanket. So this is taking quite a long time for me to crochet because I'm not a super fast crocheter. In reflecting on the temperature blanket process, I think has been really fun. I've really enjoyed working with the Ganchet yarn colors. All of these colors worked really well together and they were nice to crochet with. I did struggle a little bit with splitting, but over time got used to the way it was working up. Yeah, I really enjoyed this material, the colorways. I still have my card that I made at the beginning of last year with my different colors, and I've been using this fairly regularly to double check like what color goes when. And I started keeping a list of dates and temperatures because I got behind, so I was tracking that as I went. I did find that finding the link online for the past weather temperatures or the highs of your area online was really handy because I didn't always remember to note it down as the days were passing. So looking back and being able to record several days at once using that was really helpful. Let's see, what else? One thing I think that I really enjoyed about the colors that I chose was that I went with more pastel-y tones into kind of more or brighter colors towards the spring. So in the colder temperatures, I was looking at more pastels, and then the mid temperatures for my area was more brights, like the orange and the ochre and the chartreuse. And then as the weather or the temperatures got higher, I went more dark. And I'm liking how that's playing out in my blanket because it's ending up that there's a section of pastels at the beginning of the year, and then it goes to the brights, and then it goes to the darks, and then it kind of reverses that as we get into the fall and into December, which I haven't crocheted yet, but I know the temperatures are kind of playing out that way. So that has been really satisfying to see it play out. So this is September section right here. You can see the kind of darker, the dark gray and brown, and then the berry or the red, and then more bright as we get towards the fall up in the top here. Down at the beginning where I started in January of this year, it's more of the melon color, this kind of peachy color, and then the eucalyptus. I did run out of yarn multiple times, and there are a few kind of cheat rows that I had to do where I was just one row short of a color and or was waiting for the same yarn to show up again. And so I fudged it a little bit and used the color closest to that temperature. I decided it didn't need, only I was going to know, didn't need to be that perfect or exact. And then a few times I had to order a restock on the yarn from Ganchet. Ganchet did gift me the initial set of colors, 2 skeins per color for this blanket. Thank you so much, Ganchet, for doing that. It's been really fun to work with their yarn and put this together. And then I have had to kind of restock on a few colors because I made this so big and I was kind of guesstimating. I didn't have an exact idea of what temperature was going to be the most common. And this year in our area has been a little bit abnormal, at least for what we've experienced in the last several years. Is a little bit colder than normal. So that kind of influenced the colors and needing more. If I was working on a normal project, I obviously would try to have all of the yarn ready to go at the beginning of the project so that I don't have any color lot issues. But because I didn't really know what I was getting myself into when I started this project and I made it really big, I didn't know how much to prepare for and didn't know what the temperature was going to be like. And the stripage factor in this blanket really allows for a lot of wiggle room in the color lots of yarn, where if the colors didn't match perfectly to the same color from a previous batch, it wasn't going to be that much of a problem. Actually, not a problem at all. So there was that. It is coming along. I'm going to work on this in the challenge in January and finish this up hopefully by the end of January. And then I'll share a video about finishing it, the process, and my final thoughts on the project. But at the moment, I have kind of decided, mostly by not doing anything about it, that I'm not going to be doing a temperature project in 2025. I think I'll pick it up in 2026, doing something a little bit smaller, maybe a like a lap blanket or something a little bit narrower. This big of a project was just quite grandiose, and it's going to end up being like queen-sized comforter or queen-size blanket size, which is quite large and a lot of yarn. So I don't know that I want to invest that time and material into something quite that big again. I was laughing with my mom and sister and saying that next year I would just do a temperature scarf so that it's only this wide, which actually isn't that bad of an idea, but it would be a very long scarf. So I don't know, maybe a Doctor Who scarf. It's been a few weeks since we wrapped up the Vlogmas series. We did several tutorials and projects that were holiday themed, and I worked on that with Sherry and Bailey. It was a really fun project to put together. I got quite exhausted by the end and needed some time away from editing and away from working on projects. So I took a week off to visit my brother and sister-in-law in Louisiana. They're there for school. So we got to do some fun outdoor activities. We went ziplining and kayaking, and we came across a few alligators on our kayaking trip. We stayed a safe distance away, but it was fun to see where they have been living, my brother and sister-in-law, and kind of experience the culture and the area there. We went to New Orleans and got to explore the Garden District and see the beautiful houses there. It was just a really cool thing to do and beautiful during the holiday season because a lot of those really ornate houses were decorated with wreaths and Christmas lights, and it just made it very festive. So now that Vlogmas is finished up and we're wrapping up 2024, I've been reflecting on the projects that I've made over this year, and I wanted to talk about tracking your projects and reflecting on projects and the things that you do in a year, because I think there's a lot of value in looking back and seeing what you've created or what you've made, not just as like an achievement mindset kind of thing, but as an appreciation or gratefulness practice. As we dive into a creativity practice building challenge in January, I want to approach it with the mindset that we are grateful for the ability to create, and that what we do make is something that is joyful and really has a fulfilling and satisfying meaning to it. And I often find myself just kind of moving forward with the next project, next project, and not really sitting with the one that I've completed or appreciating the thing that I completed. Sit and ponder the process and think about how it went, and think about maybe things that I could have done better, or things that I really appreciate about it, or the process itself. Kind of self-evaluating a little bit, but also appreciating the time that I spent on things. Slow craft, which is pretty much everything that I do here on the channel and in my creative practice, whether that be spinning, natural dyeing, knitting, crochet, weaving, basketry. All of those things take time and a lot of effort and skill building. And to just move forward to the next thing feels more consumeristic than it does really embracing the ideas of slow craft or the benefits of slow craft. So in this next year, I want to be better about kind of tracking or celebrating the things that I complete. And sometimes I do that in video form here on my channel, where I share the process of making a project and share that story with you here. But I also want to do it for myself in the sense that I'm keeping a journal or a record of the things that I make. Again, not for just the achievement and look at all the things that I've done kind of a mindset, but more of like an appreciation of the time that I spent and the skills that I have learned along the way. So I've been pondering, do I want to do this in paper format, like keep a journal, actual physical journal? And that is very attractive because I do love books and I love journaling and I love the feel of paper and pen and handwriting and being able to sketch and draw. So I'm still torn because the one I'm leaning more towards is doing something that is digital, just for the fact that it would be accessible wherever I'm at. So if I'm traveling and I finish something, I can still plug in my project and reflect on it. If we are in a different space, or I'm not going to lose track of my phone the same way I might lose track of a physical journal. So it's less likely that I will lose it in the shuffle of life. So still really torn there. Maybe if you want to share your thoughts on whether you would prefer a paper journal or if a digital journal, you could help me out making my decision. I have chosen to go the paper route as far as setting some goals, and I wanted to show you. I printed out the year 2025 in paper format, and I went through and broke the year down into quarters, so 3-month segments. And I did some of that for planning for the Textile Indie work that we do here on the channel and on our website, and we'll be starting a membership here in the new year where we're sharing a lot of courses and workshops in fiber and textile crafts. So I have a lot of goals as far as that goes, what kinds of things I want to share with you all there. But in my personal creating practice, I decided that this year I really want to spend more time making or sewing more garments. I've always had the dream of having a handmade wardrobe, and I know how to sew. I have a minor in apparel design. In the last probably 5 years of dreaming about a capsule wardrobe that is handcrafted and that I hand sew or hand knit, I've had a lot of other things and priorities that have taken precedence. So this year I set out to give myself an assignment every 3 months. So I have a knit project and a sew project for every 3 months. And that's kind of going to be a stretch for me, especially in the knitting because I'm not a fast knitter. But I think I can accomplish one sewn garment every 3 months. That feels very doable, or it seems like it ought to be doable. So I have um, scheduled out a few ideas of things and kind of been flexible around maybe exactly what I create. But some of the projects are I want to make a silk button up top, and I have a few patterns in mind that I'm considering. And then the next one is a button front skirt, and that I really love So Liberated's button front skirt, and now the name is eluding me. I'll put it here on the screen. But that's one that I have been wanting to make for a long time. So that's on my list. And then let's see what else do I have here. Also, I have a few knitting projects, but I'll go over those in a minute. Oh, a linen duster. So Liberated has a linen duster, or a duster pattern. Again, the name's eluding me, but it's really beautiful. I've made one already. It's a little bit heavy in the fabric that I chose, and I found that when I'm wearing it, it actually puts strain on my shoulders because there's so much bulk in the back panels that the fabric's heavy, and when I'm working it just causes me grief. So I want to do a few adjustments to that pattern and use a slightly lighter fabric than what I used previously to make a linen duster, because my studio often is pretty chilly, and so I like to layer up with a lot of different layers, and duster just sounded very nice. And then I want to make a few t-shirts and tank tops just as basics. And then for knitting projects, I want to do a cardigan, and the cardigan that I want to make is I want it to have kind of a fluffy texture to it. So I've been working on a cinema sweater from Kuda Kika using a strand of merino and a strand of soft silk mohair from Knitting for Olive. And I want to use that same combo of yarns in their, I think it's aqua color. I have the yarn. I can't remember what their color name is, but those two together to make either a plain cardigan or a cardigan that has some lacy texture or maybe some light cables. I'm not exactly sure the design yet, but Petite Knits has a cardigan pattern that I recently purchased. So that's probably the direction I'm going to go with that. And then let's see, in April, I have on my list that I want to do a lightweight sweater. I was just looking at Petite Knits list, and she has one that's a v-neck, and I like the v-neck design, and it's just really lightweight. Doesn't have any like major design to it, but it's light and fluffy and could be a layering piece for spring or fall. So that was very attractive because I could also wear it in the summer when it's cooler. It doesn't get extremely hot here usually in the summer, so sometimes I can, especially in the evenings, wear a lightweight knit. And then next up for July, again, it takes me a long time to knit. So if I start in July, I may be done with the sweater by winter. I want to do a cabled pullover, probably a v-neck. Kuda Kika has several different patterns in her knit books, and I haven't decided on the exact one, but I want to play around with a cabled sweater because I've never done anything that's cabled that is sweater sized. I've done cabled hats and some smaller pieces, but a sweater would be a step up in my knitting journey. And then a cabled cardigan. So I have the plain cardigan and then a cabled cardigan. I just really like layering. So cardigans are really nice because I can wear them over a t-shirt or a blouse, and they're cozy. And I think I would do one cardigan that doesn't have buttons and then one cardigan that does close with buttons. So those are my sewing and knitting plans. I would love to expand on those, but I'm trying to be realistic with all the other projects that I have going. So I wanted to show you these, my printouts, and I put a lot of sticky notes on here, kind of blocked out days. I have established that for this year, taking one day a week to be a studio day to develop my skills and have as a dedicated creative practice day, and grow in just the things that I'm learning and grow in my ability to teach those things and my use of things like camera and the tools that I work with and experimenting with new processes and just growing as a creative and as an artist. This year I found that I was facing a lot of burnout in my work because I haven't set aside structured time to develop myself as an artist. And that's one of the reasons the January challenge is coming up, because I realized how valuable it is to have a creativity practice. And even at 15 minutes a day, that's still moving forward and moving yourself forward in working on things. So having that dedicated time that's for you to work on what brings you joy in your creativity, I think you can't put a price on that. So I'm going to start with the 15 minutes, the beginning of the year, and then expand that a little bit as I have more time. I'd love to hear about your plans for the new year. If you have knitting or sewing or other fiber textile craft plans, I'd love to hear about those in the comments below. You could also, if you haven't already, join our email list. I'll put the link down there as well, and share your projects through email. We love getting emails from y'all and hearing about what you're inspired by and what you're working on, and even photos of your projects if you're willing to share. We also love sharing those on Instagram if you want to tag us on Instagram. So lots of ways to be involved in the textile indie community if that's something that you're interested in. And again, in February, we're going to be starting a membership, and I'll talk about that more throughout January. But we will have a membership for those of you who are dabblers and want to learn all the fiber and textile crafts. We'll be doing workshops in pine needle basketry, in reed basketry, natural dyeing, spinning, drop spinning, and continuing to grow it out to include rag rug weaving. We have a dyeing basket reed and pine needle workshop in there. Mordant your materials so that you can naturally dye brighter and more vibrant colors. So it's going to continue to grow, but it's starting out with some great basket workshops and spinning tutorials to get you started there. So I'd love for you to stay tuned and check that out. And a great way to do that is to sign up for our email list. We'll be sending out notifications about the process and how that's going in those emails. I wanted to show you the printout of the ebook. I just printed it out on my printer, and it's quite a long ebook to print. So I printed it at 2 pages per sheet or per side. So I wanted to pull it out here and show you. Shoot, I need to change out the ink and then I'll show you. Okay, recovered from a fight with the printer. Printer ink and putting it in sometimes is the worst. So I have our creativity challenge ebook, Your Daily Creative Practice by myself and Sherry. And this is what we'll be going through in January. If you sign up for the email list, you'll get the link for this ebook in your email on at the start of the challenge, depending on when you join. You'll kind of start at day 1 and go from there. Yeah, and chapter 1 is on what is a creative challenge or what is a creative practice, and then we go through mindset topics and then move on towards things that are a little bit more practical, like how to schedule a creative practice time and how to fit it into your day and how to make it a habit, and goal setting and those kinds of practical things. So I think it's going to be a great experience, a great opportunity to kind of build the habit of creativity into your daily routine, and also at the same time knock out some of your works in progress. I know that we probably all have a pile of them. I know that I have a mountain, and Sherry's going to be working on a bunch of her embroidery projects as well, along with us. Bailey, I think, is working on some house projects and getting ready for having a baby. So she is nesting and getting settled in for that. So doing some furniture projects and setting up her nursery and all that. So excited to have a little nephew. If you need company while doing some of your holiday projects, check out this video. I share the process for one of my projects. I'm so looking forward to starting the new year out doing the creative challenge with you. Again, check the links in the description to sign up for that. If I had sparkling cider, or even better, some champagne, I'd pour you a glass and chink glasses with you to cheers for 2024 and all that we made and accomplished this year. It's been a year packed full of creativity, and I look forward to joining you in another year for 2025. Until January 1st, happy making, and I'll see you then. Bye.